There is one conference in the year and so many symposia, it comes out automatically. Okay. So what we are going to do is let's just put up what we are doing first, and then you guys can come in. You know the drill. Lisa knows the drill. She's done enough sessions now. So this is what we are doing. Everyday heroes identifying community mediators. So that's what we're doing. And of course, Lisa, please tell us about the conference.
Okay, this is the World Mediators Conference held once a year and kicks off on the 18th of May, which is our esteemed grand mediator's birthday, Ken Cloak. And it's celebrated in our spaces as World Mediators Day. And so the conference has been running now for it'll be a month this weekend. And we've had speakers from all over and just tackling various topics. And of course, today is my 4th session, and I'm very pleased to be sharing the platform with Anoushka.
And Erin.
Thank you.
And Erin's picture is not there, but she's as much part of the
thing. I had no idea.
Hi.
Sorry, Erin. I didn't know you were joining.
Look, she didn't see the picture, but she's still part of the thing because look, her name's up on the schedule, which means she's part of the session. But that's okay. We'll get you people in, but I'm not going to get you in so fast. First, I will have to, because look, there's no session after yours. So let's utilize this time to tell people about the various sessions that are coming up, if you don't mind. And what if you mind? There's nothing going to change. Nothing's going to say it's better off that you don't mind. Okay, so let's go for whatever the sessions are. But how many have you people watched? I mean, I keep putting all this content out there, but you watch it? But
I've been watching it for the past couple of days now. I love Ken. I love learning from Ken. So I started with his videos that you have with him, and they're wonderful as always. Everything that Ken has to say, I want to soak up. I love it.
Yeah. Elise is also here. Elise, we'll get you in after a minute. Introductions are happening a little later. What I'm doing is I'm putting up the schedule of the conference because no one looks at anything that I do. So I have to take this opportunity to put it all up there. So this is what it looks like. Okay. So we had that birthday celebration with the grand old man of mediation and the face of the revolution. Then Lisa obviously kicked it off. Lisa, LawMom Thomas. We haven't got LawMom written on your name right now. So people, the heart of the mediation process. And if any of you have seen any of the sessions, please stop me. You can tell us about the session and we can move forward. Then I'll also get to know that you people don't watch anything. it's up there. Okay. So does anything sound interesting to you? Anything
the heart of the mediation process I watched, it was a very nice topic. And I was starting to watch the redefining mediation spaces when I got interrupted. So I'm going to finish that one next.
Don't just make Lisa happy, okay? Whenever you see Lisa's name and you're saying, I watched that session.
I'm just picking the topics that I think are most predominant for my life right now. And then I'll go through and watch them all.
Okay, so Anoushka, Elise, at some point, I hope you'll stop me and say, yes, I watched that.
I mean, I watched the one that I sat in with Lisa on right after
later.
mine.
So we'll come to that. We're coming to that.
Yeah. And I was at Ken's as well for his birthday.
Yep. So this was really, of course, the mask I wear as a mediator, about Shelley took us through her experiences as a Black woman. Interesting. I really find that really interesting that people have to go through all this in this day and age. Elise, Erin, please tell us how that works. But later, maybe. That'll be another topic for discussion.
I watched one that was done by a judge, and I can't remember her name now.
The one in Brazil? Dorothea?
Yes.
Yes,
I really liked that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really liked her as a person. Very nice person. Okay, so this is Elise's session, motivation and mediation. All of you say you have watched it. It was really nice. That's how it works.
Yeah, it is nice.
Anoushka, if you say you haven't watched any of them, you'll be sent into the waiting room. It takes 1 second to send someone to the waiting room. So just say something, something.
Would it make you any happier if I said I watched the symposium about like 2 or 3 sessions I did attend of those?
Okay, so
But I just
this was really nice knowing you, Anushka. Thank you very much, and you can be sent out now.
well, I'm here. Does this count?
This doesn't
I
count.
still really want to watch the one on AI that you were talking about yesterday. That's the one I
Right.
really want to dive
No, but
into.
yesterday, what we did was we took ChatGPT. Erin was there, and Jared were there, and we actually had a dispute that Jared and Erin had, and we took it up live. And the kinds of things that ChatGPT puts out, I mean, it's a very good first responder. I think better than a human, because one, it's doesn't no the what the all the issues that humans come with, it doesn't come with all that. So all these issues that I just told you, Shelly was speaking about, just the way that she speaks. There was a woman who, just by the way she speaks, said, you're a black woman. And imagine the kind of thing that person goes through. At least that issue's been cut out. You're talking to a machine, all those issues go out. Okay, so what we then, of course, Sherry's, both these sessions were really nice. The last one, you were there. Did you come in? You came in, Erin, for this?
Yes, that was
Very
a
good.
wonderful session.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what we've done.
I was also in the organizational mediator versus organizational ombuds.
Made sense to you, the concept?
Yeah.
So for me, I have to identify work for mediators, and I think that's really something which. So what else is coming up? All these are coming up. Of course, Michael Lang.
I'm attending Michael's on tomorrow.
You attend all of them, Lisa.
Yeah, I've signed up.
What signed up? You can land up for the Zoom session in any case. You're a panelist. All panelists come in. But are
No,
you
he
saying?
invited me, so I said, why not?
And of course, okay, I can't say anything to Michael, but
Yeah.
otherwise, people are not supposed to send out invitations to anyone. That's
Maybe
I
because
do
of a
that.
panelist. Maybe I'm a
Yeah,
panelist.
in the sense, yeah, that's why it's okay. If it was someone else, that becomes a bit of an issue. Okay, we still haven't got with Michael. We can't say anything. Okay, so I've taken you through the whole thing. Have you read any of this? What I put out there? Are you guys reading at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine's
Anything?
open on my computer right now.
Please tell us about some interesting things. Stop me and say, okay, this sounds really interesting. Anything. They all sound interesting. Say all this. Okay, that's what you have to say. They all sound interesting.
They do.
Awaken your light. That sounds like a really awesome topic.
She did this last year. So Sherry, I said you do it again because it's really close to her heart. So you can watch that session also. And of course, I mean, look, whatever is something close to people's heart, let's put it out there. That's the whole idea behind this. That's a lot of topics, yeah. It just goes on and goes on, and the topics which are still missing. I mean, 2 people have to still give the topics. 3 people. Okay, so that was nice. Last day, please, 30th, you have to attend. All panelists are supposed to attend if they ever want to participate in any other event. Because the World Mediation Circle, they definitely have to discuss. The skill development project is the important one that we need to discuss, because I have to put that in place. So start looking at topics that you want to put as part of that, how those sessions. So, and of course, learnings and key takeaways for sure. So let's go now into your session. Lisa, please, you're the lead panelist, your topic. So everyday heroes, identifying community mediators, please.
Yeah. So
A little bit about yourself. Little bit about yourself also.
Okay. Well, the LawMom title comes from my exploits with law students and being in legal education. So I have my own legal academy and just being a mentor in the legal profession here in South Africa. So I sign up all my posts as LawMom. So that has become my brand. Of course, my personal interest is in mediation. It's something that I guess, fell in love with after I left the litigation sphere. So I'm very happy to have the space to share my thoughts and just to develop and be exposed to other ideas. So yeah, I guess I'm multifaceted. I'll always be someone that enjoys litigation, but I feel like mediation is one of those least invasive ways of solving people's problems. So I'm very happy to be sharing the platform with Anoushka. We managed to collaborate and put something together jointly. So hopefully it goes off without a hitch. And yeah, so
But
today my topic, which appealed to her out of all the entire catalog, was um, everyday heroes, identifying community mediators. So obviously that's something that's very close to Vikram's heart in terms of the World Mediation Circle, in that we have to identify such people in our different communities that are not necessarily professionals, but have been doing mediating and problem solving within the community for a long time.
Lisa,
So
can I just put you on pause for a second? Let's just get the little introductions of these people also. Let's get Anoushka, Erin, and Elise there. Let's do a quick introduction, and then we'll get into the topic. Yes, Anoushka, a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from whichever part of the world you're watching. So my name is Anoushka Rajan. I am a practicing advocate. I'm based out of Delhi. And my core areas are civil litigation and arbitration for now. And of course, mediator in the making. So when I have been following Vikram sir for a while, I've been following Lisa for a while. And your baby lawyers posts are something that really appealed to me because just the fact that it's so different, like nothing says dear connections or nothing says hi everyone, and then they're so informative, bite-sized pieces but a lot of information. So thank you for that, Vikram sir. Thank you for getting this platform ready and bringing us all together. So that's my brief introduction, and I'm just very, very happy and honored to be here.
But Anoushka, you really want to be part of the things that I do, because it doesn't seem from what you said you want to be. You use the L word and you use the A word. Those two words were not allowed. Then you said you're a mediator in the making, and I said, look, that is not you. Not in the making. You are one. You will evolve as you go along. So you've got all the concepts wrong. So what do we do, Lisa?
So it's a multifaceted, I don't know, a demeanor that I'm trying to achieve, because I feel like, I mean, litigation is fortunately or unfortunately part of everything. Whether, I mean, that's how at least I'll have a background, a knowledge of how things work. And of
How
course,
things
my
work
first.
or how things don't work?
So it's not a very safe platform for me to say that.
This platform was created so that you can say what you can. I have alienated the entire mediation world from what I say.
No. So mediation, of course, like it is a prime focus area for me. And I think from all that I've done during my internships, during my work, I think mediation is something that really is close to my heart. I was talking to Lisa the other day and I happened to mention it's therapy. I mean, just the fact that you feel so fulfilled when you give people voices, when you empower them. It just is a very fulfilling, heartwarming feeling. So
Okay, good. Yes, Erin.
Hello, my name is Erin Moynihan. I am a conflict resolution specialist and personal advocate. I just opened my own business. It's called Courageous Engagement. And I'm looking forward to just having these conversations and furthering my knowledge and helping as much as I possibly can. Thank you for having me.
Yesterday, Erin spoke about all the difficulties she was facing. And we were, because I keep telling people that about the qualifications and everything, she's given her side of it. We won't get into it here because that'll become a whole different discussion, because when I go there, I go totally there. So I won't get into that, but you please must watch that. And yeah. Yes, Elise, a little bit about yourself.
Hey, yes, sure. I'm Elise Sally. I can only stay 15 minutes. I just want to support Lisa and her endeavors whenever possible. So I'm usually not home right now, but it just popped up on my phone and it was perfect timing. So
Elise thinks, Elise really, this is one of those times when people used to think that the earth was the center and everything revolved around it. So Elise thinks it's everything. First she sends a message on the thing, Michael, I will not be able to come. So Michael is going to say, no, I won't participate because Elise is not going to be there. Now she's like, oh, 15 minutes. At least you can spend as much time as you want.
Yeah, no, I just want to support my friends. So Lisa and I became friends some months back, and even though we did connect on LinkedIn in a professional setting, we became mom friends because we both have young kids. And so, a lot of times we're just talking about being mom, how frustrating kids can be and how great they can be. But I am a family mediator in Florida and also a guardian ad litem, which means I work on contentious cases. When there are minor children, I work for the child, and my history is behavior analyst. I think that's it. I own Serenity Mediation.
Great. You just started Serenity Mediation. You can tell people that. You just started it. And
yep, June 1st. We're 2 weeks in.
And what's the first situation? How are you feeling starting your practice?
I feel good. I feel really good. I was just updating my email signature too, because I find I'm not very tech savvy. So I figured out how to make the logo a circle instead of a square on my email. So I feel good about that.
What else are you going to teach us right now? You want to take us through something else also? How to use some other app?
No, I'm here for Lisa and Anoushka. I'm not familiar with Anoushka and Aaron, but it's very nice to meet both of you as well.
Likewise.
Perfect. Great, Lisa. So this is now your session. Please take it wherever you want to.
Okay. So Anoushka and I we're gonna tag team as far as we can, but hopefully it can just flow. So
But your collaboration happened later because Anoushka was not going to participate. I sent her an invitation later only about the conference.
Yeah. So we got in touch and managed to incorporate some of her thoughts. So hopefully I've captured them.
And please involve Erin in it in the presentation at some point of time.
Erin, I'm not someone that likes to be allowed to be allowed to speak for too long. So if you want to jump in at any time,
thank you. I'm just here to watch, and I'm happy to learn from both of you.
Okay, I thought I had it open. So it's just opening now.
But this conference is as much about mediators interacting with each other as much as it is about the topics. So that's the difference between the symposia and the conference. Symposia is like the speaker and the topic, and here it's about everyone. I don't know whether people connect with each other. The only issue that I face is that no one shares each other's posts. I mean, everyone otherwise maybe I'm sure sends each other connection requests, but the least people can do is at least share the other person's post. And
Vikram, I was thinking about this yesterday when you send me post after post of other people's presentations. And yes, I agree with you to an extent, but I was also thinking in my own life how I am to a point where I'm up to my eyeballs in things that I have to do. I feel like I only have the capacity to work on sharing my own stuff as much as I support everybody else. I kind of feel like it's up to each of us to promote ourselves.
No, that's wrong attitude, at least. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, look, the work that I do, why I'm promoting everyone, am I not? When you promote everyone, mediation gets promoted with that and with the right people. So I understand
that, but I also understand that I would be home, I would be on my phone or my computer for most of the day, which I already am doing that.
No. I tell you, at least what happens is when you open a post and you're looking at it, there's a button at the bottom of repost. Don't have to write anything. You just say repost without comments, and it's just 2 clicks. That's all it takes.
Okay, then I have another one for you. As a behavior analyst, I'm coming in as a behavior analyst now. I don't want to post so many times that people feel that my content is not, it's just something to go past. I want people to appreciate my content and to not feel like I'm bombarding them. So I want it to be like, like Lisa said, like little tidbits or snippets, bite-sized pieces of information. I don't want to flood people.
Okay. So now what I understand is that people are not willing to put other people out there. By putting
That's
Lisa,
not what it
by
is.
putting
That's
Lisa
not what
out
it
there,
is.
we are flooding them with good people. When we say Lisa's out there or Enin is out there, we're flooding them with good people. They should be flooded with that. People should be flooded with good things because there's so
And
many.
we're flooded by you. We don't need another Vikram.
Of course, 1,000 more at least. I've been saying the last 3 years, I've said my 1,000 reach 1,000. I've been saying I need another 1,000. So then we reach 1,000,000 people. That's when the things don't happen with, okay, let's put the 1,000 together and half of them don't even want to post, not even half, even less, don't want to post each other's posts also. Then how do we get there? So, but doesn't matter. That's another discussion we'll have on. We'll fix the topic for that. Why people don't share. Lisa. Yes, Lisa.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think if we, like you're saying, if we connect further off this platform and we develop relationships like Elise and I have, then obviously that's the best motivation to, to want to share other people's speaking sessions and obviously pitch up as well, to join in live. So yeah, I think it's a good start. I mean, it's a good motivator for me to connect with Erin and of course to speak more with Anoushka and
No, I tell you, that's been happening for the last more than 2 years, at least since all the events happened. Connection that people were making with each other had kept happening. Nothing was done further in that. This idea is not for people to connect. I'm not a matchmaking service that I have to come here to connect people together. Please, you have LinkedIn, connect with whoever you want to. It's become a match. It seems to have become a matchmaking service. No, this is here. Okay, you want to promote mediation and reach people, and which is what now I have to go into that direction. Matchmaking, I think I've done enough of. I think I need to put that out. Let's get to the people. Yes, and identify community mediators. Yes.
Is Anoushka gone?
Oh no, she's there.
Okay.
No, please take the lead. I will pitch in as we go.
No, I didn't see your picture. That's why I thought you're not here. Okay, so as I said, my topic is everyday heroes, identifying community mediators. And I think this is part of my very first presentation that I did about making people the center of the mediation or the heart of the mediation process. I think we can also source our mediators or problem solvers from those people, right? Whose problems we want to resolve. So keeping it local and keeping it, human, right? So let's move.
Essentially, what we're trying to say is that, so since we live in a community that is so close-knit, we are trying to identify people who are already in the society in a very respectable position and are more trusted than, they're organically gifted as mediators, peacemakers in the society. They are more involved in problem solving than, just having the attitude of, that's not my business to take care of. We are, as a community, we are growing, we are pitching into each other's lives. And wherever there's an opportunity where we see that there is a problem that is beyond people who are involved in the said problem, that's where community mediators come in. And that's where all the problem solving happens.
Yeah. So as Anoushka said, she is a mediator in the making. But I've since discovered that your mediator role is something that you discover. So as one of the ways to identify community mediators around you is to find those people that display the natural characteristics of what who mediators are and what they do. So our contention or our submission is that mediators are born, not trained, okay? And discovery as a mediator first involves self-discovery before public discovery. So you must be doing that kind of thing and living that kind of life in private and doing what you do. So until someone discovers your abilities, and in this case, in the community context, you, the mediator, whoever the person is in the community, has to first discover it for themselves. They may not even have a name for it, Like I like to say, before we even had a name for mediation and all of the mechanisms that are involved, we got the job done, right? So the person might not even know that this is what it's called and this is my title, but yet they are doing it. So I believe that the discovery has to happen privately, okay, before you identify it in public, right? So mediators engage their ability naturally without setting a formality. So it's those people that are around you that just do what they do. They don't need, they might happen upon a problem or some kind of disagreement and they activate it. Okay, they don't need a setting, they don't need a mediation room or a table or a pre-mediation meeting or whatever. They just activate it, right? And of course, in order for them to become relevant and useful to the community and identifiable, they have to be recognized. So outside recognition is crucial for public discovery and ultimately public benefit. So a lot of these people are hidden away. They are hidden gems. Myself, I put myself now on terms. And in my contribution to the World Mediation Circle is to put out that call and even to rack my brain and think, okay, who are these people that I've already seen doing this mediation thing? Okay, obviously I do it every day. That's a lifestyle for me. But who are the other people that do it? Who can I sort of add to my list of, okay, these people have the raw materials. So let us now go and give them the skills enhancement that they need, right? So Vikram talks about the mediator mindsets or lifestyle. The mediator lifestyle is the natural outworking, I believe, of the mediator mindset. So as your mind is set, so you will do, right? So when it comes to keeping people in good relationship with each other and just not avoiding conflict, but constructing through conflict. It's something that when that person is confronted with a situation where there's an impasse or a disagreement, their mindset toward conflict and towards disagreement and towards contention is such that they start to activate, they start to live it out, right? So, and of course, the list is not exhaustive, but for me, these are things that I identify in myself. So I say the mediator mindset includes emotional empathy as opposed to cognitive empathy, which is an empathy that's taught, okay, which might not be the purest form. A people focus, specifically preserving the relationships between people, non-defensiveness, and I can't say the other one, or curiosity, non-defensiveness, and de-escalation. So for me, that's the way I approach difficult situations where there are disagreements and strong positions. Okay, I go in with this in my mind. Okay, and I don't necessarily want to force the people into what I'm thinking, but I'm definitely going to display it in the way I try to bring them together. So I think at the very least, if this is not the exhaustive list, but this is what the mediator mindset should comprise, right?
Just to add into what Lisa said, I also feel like the ability to read between the lines, because oftentimes what happens is people are not disagreeing on a certain thing, but there are underlying issues that need to be sorted. And that's where the mediator comes in. That's where the mediator says, okay, maybe there's an underlying issue, and probably we look into that first. So that what happens is you tackle the root and then rest of it just falls into place. So probably active listening and reading between the lines is also something a mediator should ideally possess.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye, Liz. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so the next slide is something that Anoushka alluded to in her introduction, where problem solving and problem sharing. So we're looking at community issues. Community mediators would treat community problems as their own, right? Because they have a vested interest. They are part of the community. The well-being of the community will depend on the relationships within it and the harmony within it. So they would not say, as Anoushka said, it's your business or it's none of my business, I'm going to stay out of it. So a special feature of community mediators, I think, that needs to be identified and sort of focused on is that the problem solving starts with the problem sharing. Because like I said, community mediators have a vested interest in resolving, the community being in harmony and having needs met. Okay. So we have the situation of where there's a sort of equalization where the mediator is like, okay, yes, I'm coming in, I have this vested interest, but the thing is I am now sharing in the problem. And I think that's where the empathy part of it, the emotional empathy comes into play, because they don't really have to, deliberately say, okay, now I'm being empathetic towards or in the situation, or I'm showing empathy, but it's because they are in that situation. It's easy to place themselves in the context of the problem. So Anoushka, you want to expand on the whole sharing the problem as opposed to just keeping to yourself?
Yeah. So what happens is generally when we encounter a conflict, especially from a third person's perspective, a natural instinct is, okay, I don't want to get into that because that's a lot of conflict. I can't handle that. And I just don't want to be part of their business. But what happens is to keep a community together, especially in a day and age like this, where everyone is getting so individualistic and so self-centered, it's essential to preserve that essence of community, of togetherness, of fraternity. And that's where the mediator mindset comes in. The mediator, the organic person who thinks that, okay, I need to solve this just to keep the community together, just to preserve the peace, the sanctity of the community. That's where I think, as Lisa mentioned, there's a natural inclination as to a leadership quality, say. A person comes up naturally and says, okay, this I can solve this. It's not that big of a deal. And just communication, probably listening to the other side or just facilitating an atmosphere to resolve the conflict. Just doing that much can work wonders at times, because there will be times where people don't want to look at each other's faces. And that will be stemming out of a very frugal thing, which has just escalated and snowballed into something huge over a period of time, say years. And that's when the mediator says, okay, you just need to look at it in a more practical manner, come to a conclusion and have a mutually acceptable solution. So that's where I think that individualistic approach should be avoided and a community approach, a problem solving approach should be adopted.
Yeah. So there are obviously different spheres and sources where we can find community mediators. And the main one being religious groups. So, or the education sphere, educators, administrators, neighborhood forums, like we have here, that, just put out the needs of the community and see to the community safety and stuff like that. And of course, peer groups, so students in schools, at universities. So these are your everyday heroes, right? These people are probably in these different spheres. They are already doing that. What we need to make public and we need to bring them out into the light. So religious groups are obviously, like for example, the Christians, being one, like we're all about reconciliation. And we talk about forgiveness. So, we're already doing that kind of thing in our different spheres. And it's time, I think, also that we,
at this point I'll have to come in.
yeah.
Let's say all religious groups are doing it. Okay, not
No,
specific.
yeah, no.
All of them.
I can't speak to specific
Let's just say they are.
examples.
Let's just say
Yeah,
they are.
no.
Doesn't matter. Will they all say all religious groups? I'm just
That's
saying.
why I put the religious groups, but I'm saying,
Well, it just sounds like what you just said sounds like the Christians are doing it, the others aren't. They're all doing a good job.
No. I don't mean it like that. Obviously, that is in our books, forgiveness
all books, all religious books
reconciliation.
have that. Each of them.
I don't know, so I don't want to make an assumption. But yeah, so we are doing it for our different respective, groups. We are preaching all of those things: forgiveness, reconciliation. Even in the education sphere, look, there are parents and teachers, and they are coming to loggerheads and principals having to manage that, and then we have disputes among neighbors where you have a chairperson of the neighborhood forum who's mediating there between squabbling neighbors, and then of course peer groups, which are students, where it's not even, you can say, like a professional kind of thing, where amongst friends, they go to the one friend who can sort them out. So everyone goes to the one friend, or they phone that one particular friend, and you see the dynamic playing out maybe on the playground or in the cafeteria or even in the lecture venue. Okay, so these are, and of course, again, this list isn't exhaustive. It's what I could think of. But these are people in these spheres that are probably already doing what they do, but exclusive to their spheres. So now we are saying, yes, you may have a certain specialization, or you may have a certain underpinning or motivation, but now we need you to come into the community. We need you to avail those skills, okay, those problem-solving skills, for the good of the whole community. So again, for me, I'll speak to myself here. I have to become aware of these people, and maybe I'll have to approach them and, say, you have these skills, you have those skills. I'm putting together something, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I think it's time that we recognized from whatever other sphere you can think of, where these people are already doing it, but exclusive to that sphere. And we're saying right now, can you do it there? But also we need you for the greater community problems, right? And so, yeah, so different sources, different motivation. Like I said, if they're coming from a religious group, they're going to have a motivation to solve a problem. Okay, it's underpinned by a religious belief or a faith belief. If they're coming from an education sphere, it's going to have the motivation of, okay, we want a harmonious learning environment for the pupils, so we are doing dispute resolution in that environment. Okay, so each source of where we source these people, these community mediators, they're going to come with different motivations, and they're going to be differently influenced about how to go about solving problems, right? And that's obviously not a bad thing. They within those spheres for a reason, and they're good at what they do. It's just good to be aware. I don't think I'd call it a bias necessarily. I'd say it underpins. I would say it underpins the way they approach problem solving or dispute resolution, right? So, like I said, an example is a community mediator from, the ashram will be influenced by the religious tenets of that faith in wanting to bring people together. Okay, how they view humanity in that particular religion, and how they view forgiveness, how they view reconciliation. So that will be an influence in how they help the community. I don't know, you want to weigh in here, Anoushka? And
can I weigh in a little bit? Whenever this comes up,
yes, please.
especially with the religious concept, it's easy to assume all of them have the same thing. You say that in terms of their religious thing. Religion was basically created on the same level of humanity, not their concept of humanity being the common thing for everyone. They all look at the same thing. So let's just assume All of them have the same good things written there. Just replace the word. If you write God there, put Allah in that position. They say the same thing. If you put in our word here, we have the word Ishwar. So it's not Bhagwan, it's Ishwar. People get confused. They say Bhagwan. Bhagwan is a different concept. Ishwar is a different concept. So God, Allah, Ishwar is the same concept. Replace the words, they all say the same thing. So we won't go into any specific religion. All of them have the same concept of humanity, reconciliation, being good human beings, living together, all of them.
That's what I'm saying. Wherever they're coming from, it's not wrong. It's not that a Christian mediator is better than I'm not saying that. All I'm saying, they're going to come with, and of course, you don't have people that are open-minded, right? So you're going to have somebody that will say, okay, we are Hindu people, let's only go to the Hindu mediator. We don't want to go to the Christian mediator, whatever. Okay, so you have to factor that in as well. But I'm not saying that they treat humanity or they view humanity differently. I'm saying it's expressed in different ways, right? So then that's what underpins, that what will motivate the way they solve problems, and we are solving to the same ends.
No, within that, what I'm saying is that within that sphere that they are operating, they will use the words that are familiar. So if God is used in that, they might use that word, but in their sphere, they're saying the same thing. So in their own spheres, the concept is always the same in terms of humanity or reconciliation or any good thing that you said, they're all the same. Within the terminology that they might use, it might be different for different religion. In a religion also, they might be different in the way a language is spoken, because a religion goes into various parts of the world. So the word also will be different in the same religion also. That doesn't matter. Everyone will say the same nice things to each other. There will be no difference between them.
Anoushka, you want to come in?
Yes, ma'am. So apart from religious people, we also see in our families, a lot of elders, especially, they are the ones who pitch in and they're the ones we trust. So whenever there is a family dispute, it doesn't have to be a major dispute, just strain in relationships between people. There's always this one person that you've already identified right from the beginning, who has been aware of what's going on in the family, who has been aware of the dynamic change that has happened because of this one particular dispute. So I think just trusting them with their wisdom, also knowing that they obviously want the best of the family. And then they're the ones who can identify issues from a third person's perspective, which probably when you're into a dispute, especially when you are deep into it, you might not be able to see. So I think identifying those people and then having them use their wisdom in other spheres or other disputes or disputes which do not relate to the same people could be quite helpful.
That's actually the most obvious source that I missed out, which you pointed out now. I mean, on a micro level, look, when I was in litigation, I would think, look, why don't these people, don't they have an elder in their family who can sit them down? Why must they bring their family to court? And why must they bring their family to my office or to the lawyer's office to drag their family matters? And sometimes it's very silly stuff, but it's like, it's a domestic squabble, but they are bringing it. And I'm thinking, is there no elder person or somebody who can sit down with them and say, let's sort this out? So definitely within our families, we have those people, because if there's a problem, we say we're going to phone uncle, we're going to phone, our religious leader or something, or anyone that is of authority and influence and who the family is afraid of. I think they're the ones that normally get phoned and say, okay, he's going to sort the problem out. But I mean, we're looking at people also that are able to get people to open up. And that's obviously what we are looking for in mediation.
Erin has a hand up.
I just wanted to say,
sorry.
Not everyone has the ability to have a family member to talk to that is the sane one that will help people come together instead. Not everybody has that. So it's really important that we have us as mediators to help those families, especially in this time of age.
No, I get that. I get that. It's just, I think maybe, if we can make a little bit more effort to identify them or to look a bit harder, but there would be those families that don't have. And obviously that's where, like, we would have a community mediator or even someone in your capacity coming in to help them. No, I fully hold space for that possibility. And I think also if families have lots of problem solvers, maybe we can get into sharing. If you're willing to trust other people with our problems, then I'm sure families can share. So the community determines the mediator. So this one, I put it that way because the nature of the community, so sometimes maybe it's a village or it's the community has a different sort of, it's centered on different things. So it can be, purely a religious community, or it can be a very professional community. So I think my point is that whoever the mediators are in that community, they need to at least be schooled in what that community is based on or what the community is centered on. Obviously, because we don't want to be tone deaf to the culture that's around, or whatever the culture is. Okay. We don't want to be tone deaf in approaching their problems and not factoring, what that community is centered on into the resolution process. So I feel personally that the group of community mediators in that community, it should reflect, or it should represent, let's just say, the community's population and what they stand for, their values, etc. So it's just, obviously you're not going to get all of them like that. You're not going to get the perfect mediator for every community, but at least they have to be informed. So if they're going to be mediating in a highly agricultural community, okay, or a village, then the mediator then would have to know about, the farming situation and what goes on, and seasons and harvesting and the kinds of disputes that can arise out of that. So it's just a more, if the community mediator can reflect the community, then it's just a more informed approach to community mediation. Okay, so, and then just to finish up that point, community mediators need skills enhancements to sensitize their skills to the community's needs. So what I said now about, if you are coming in maybe from outside as a community mediator, you've been exported to another community, you have the basic skills, you know what to do, how to solve problems, but you may have to sensitize or adapt. Like we spoke about in changing the language, maybe the language bit of it or the cultural aspects, they might need skill enhancements to sensitize their mediation skills to what the community needs so that they are approaching it from an informed perspective. Right? So, advantage over the mediation professional. Okay, so a community mediator is a person that's known to the community. Okay, so like I mentioned early on, it's someone that's familiar to the people trust you. Okay, so whether it's someone that they just employ you or they call you every now and then to sort out issues, whether they take you seriously or not, it's someone that's, because you are called upon often, you are trusted with community problems, and you are not known for gossip and carrying tales and things like that. But the mediation professional, like a lawyer, okay, or like very much like going to a lawyer's office, is a third party that you're bringing in, right? So what I said about why people would bring their dirty laundry to my office as opposed to getting a family member to help them solve it. So I see myself as a third party. Like the families are squabbling and then they bring it to me, an outsider, and I have to get my head around their issues, right? So I feel, and I think Anoushka can weigh in here, that having somebody that's trusted in the community to sort out issues and to bring people together, I think it has an advantage over taking the matter to someone's office.
Yeah. Essentially, I mean, taking nothing away from a lawyer or a professional, just going to someone who you know is aware of the nuances of your community, as Lisa mentioned, say an agricultural community, I think would be a little more effective in terms of just knowing the crux of the matter. Say it's a crop dispute, say it's something which is very seasonal. A lawyer, a mediator who is outside of the community may not be aware of all those subtle nuances that one needs to be aware of in certain specialized disputes. So that's what we've tried to cover in that one slide.
But are we going to come in at the end? Because maybe I won't remember all those things that I have to point out. What is it? How are we going to do this? Because look, I want to come in when Erin said that everyone doesn't have a mediator. So I'm saying that is the idea of creating this world mediation circle and this pool of people, and you can use them globally from anywhere that you are. So that's the whole idea, that community mediators are what? They're just mediators. They work in a community, they call community mediators. The other thing is that mediation. Okay, Erin, you want to say something? You were saying something.
No, I'm listening. Go for it.
The other thing I was pointing out, Lisa, was that we have to move that community mediator to be a mediation professional. So let's not, I'm looking at not to be different people. They're the same people,
Okay.
but when you, the term that I'm looking at how you're using it is when you do it in your community, you're a community mediator. But when you can do it somewhere else, then you become a mediation professional. But not like there is a third person which has been made in a factory who comes in. Those people are there. They just can go into other places. They can do it. On Anushka's point that, yeah, Lisa.
Yeah, look, I'm not against them eventually going into the factory. Okay, so we are saying that they have discovered themselves as mediators. So there's nothing. I'm not against them getting all of the accreditation and training and becoming the professional, but the professional title would just be, what is accepted out there, but they still retain the heart of the process. Yeah. So they can go and up their skill. They can go and get accreditation, keep their skills sharp. They can do all of that.
No, what I'm saying is that these are the same people. It's not like there is a different breed of people coming in as mediation professionals. What I'm trying to say, the same people. It's the same people, but whatever, like you said, they want to develop their skills, and that part of it can happen. Certification, no, we won't get into. That's another direction which we will get this conversation into. We won't go there. But I'm just saying that it's not that there is another breed of people being bred somewhere else, and those are the mediation professionals. My concept is this, that these people go out and make this their livelihood, and not just do it in their communities. Then let's call the professional word, whether it fits in well with this kind of activity or not, but them to be available to other people. Yes, that's something that we need to grow, because today also it's not that, first of all, you don't even know what community we are talking about, because is a village a community or a cluster of villages a community? Because in a cluster of villages, they don't have, in every village they'll have someone. There will be maybe in maybe 4 villages, there might be 1 person or 2 people. It's a very limited number of people with that mindset. So yes, yesterday, that's why when I didn't session, that session that we did that thing with ChatGPT, and we went through each of those steps, and very good responses that came out on a very basic concept that we were talking about. So I'm calling this Mediator GPT. That Mediator GPT be available to everyone on the first level, and then these people come in after that is something, because there are not so many of them out there.
Okay. Someone else wanted to say something?
Oh, in the beginning, when you were talking about how, tools that a mediator uses, has in their toolbox, they learn empathy, they are people focused, they focus on de-escalation and relationships, and they're curious and non-defensive. I just really wanted to add that the biggest thing I've learned is that they focus on the future and they're interest-based. So those two things are immensely important for a mediator to know and learn. When we focus on the negative and when we focus on what happened between the two people, we don't really get anywhere because both of them are right? And when we focus on the future and the interests that are underlying the problem, we move the problem forward and we focus on finding solutions. So I just thought that was what I was thinking when you were talking about that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think we move, we take them from the past, which is what happened. We situate them in the now, which is, okay, we're sorting it out. And we're taking them towards the future of that relationship because we don't want the relationship to end. So we're going to try and get them to put stuff in place that's going to, make a better future for them. So, yeah, I mean, that list wasn't exhaustive. So thank you for adding to that. Look, the reason why I spoke about this in my last session about changing the language. The reason why I distinguish between the sort of, the everyday person and the mediation professional is because of I spoke about the roles that we would designate. Like I said, we said the disputants and the mediator and the conflict okay. So I feel that the familiarity with someone that is an everyday person that you go to, it breaks down the barriers that giving roles can sometimes create. Okay, so roles are not inherently evil. I just feel in a community setting, like we are referring to, okay, that sometimes saying I'm the doctor, you're the patient, kind of thing. I feel it creates barriers, and having someone that is just there without a title, without any kind of designation, it equalizes. So because we are talking to maybe our neighbors, our fellow community members, people we pass in the street, they know you as whatever, they know you by your name, they know your family.
Lisa's frozen. It's not that she's given a pause. It's not like that. The silence can't. She's not giving us the silent treatment. But yes,
she was paused on a beautiful picture of her.
At least she's paused on a smile. A lot of people get paused in very funny situations. Okay, Anoushka, you can take us there. Yes. Familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes,
we heard. So familiarity breaks barriers.
Right. So essentially, it's the same thing, but we are just taking away the jargon so that people are not scared of the term mediation. Or since we come from such adversarial backgrounds and such fixed mindsets that a dispute has to be solved this way, or say this is a professional and we have to adhere to certain things, we have to hold back on giving certain information, which is why we're saying it's essentially completely the same thing. There is a mediator, there are parties to the dispute, there are other people who are involved who are not in the dispute. But just to take away the fear of coming out in the open and talking about their struggles, talking about what is the core of the issue and what their feelings are basically towards the issue, towards the people. Just to take away that barrier, just to break the ice, is why we're saying that we don't need terms, say a mediator or parties. We can just call ourselves people, call the other person by their name and address the humanitarian part of the process. That's essentially what we're trying to say here.
No, because anyway, I think they're not going to be called as mediator or anything. If you go to a religious head, you're going to be calling them a pastor or Maulvi or whatever. They'll be called that only. They won't be called mediators because definitely that's not a word in any case anyone's familiar with. So like I've been saying, connect them to the word that they are familiar with. If they call them
Right.
a sulekar. I mean, I'm telling you, in our own, of course, in our own act itself, they're called sulekar in Hindi. So whatever
Yes.
the aim is, that
Exactly.
doesn't matter as long as they connect the right
Just
person.
just to bring about a level of comfort so that they're comfortable opening up and talking about their struggles.
And are we talking about having volunteer people who are, designated in the community that we know support people through conflict? Is that what you're seeing?
No, they're
That
already
included.
no, they're already
Definitely.
designated. The communities have already
Hmm.
got those people, identified those people over years. It's like
Yeah.
a person's wisdom is something that when people become familiar with it and know about it, and they've seen that conduct over years, they themselves is a very natural progression. As to, it's not even doing it in a very formalized way. It's just, okay, let's just go to this person. That's as simple as that. Because in their mind they already know that this person is, all those words that you use, I mean, impartiality and all, anything that you might use, although like we said, that by itself is debatable, whether it's impartiality, partiality, and all those things. We won't get into the word debate, but they know everything. So it's a concept of, in their mind, they know the person. That's it. It's as simple as that. You don't even have to designate them as anything.
But sir, also there will be people who are not aware of these people. People who are, say, new to the community, or people who are not familiar with what's going on in the inside. So for them,
and my problem is that when I talk about this, I still always have said that's when I talk about it, let's look at it from a village perspective, because
yes,
a billion people in our country live in villages. So does that structure exist there? It exists. They know those people. So a person in one village will tell you that in that other village there is so and so. They know the name. That's we can go to that person. So there, that structure why we have to point out that structure exists is because in larger cities, obviously that community is broken down. So obviously that structure doesn't exist. So to
yes,
go by an example of a city and say, oh, this doesn't happen, that is has to be created. So these people within those communities can be identified, but you moved away from the process. Problem is you moved away from the
right.
process. Wise people will always exist everywhere. It's not that they won't be there. It's just that you haven't identified that process is something you want to use. So those people,
Right.
you're not connecting with something that you want to use. But if you connect the right people, bring them forward, then it's the usage of the process that has to be then pushed. But of course, first the right people.
100%. So while Lisa is away, I would also like to add that when we come into mediations, I think preparation is very, very important. Preparing the people, because as I said earlier, adversarial mindsets, rigid adversarial mindsets. When they come into mediation, certain people or certain class of people will come in thinking this is just to prolong the time. Our case is going on in the court. So just to drag on, just to, cause delays unnecessarily, they will come into mediation, which I think has to change. And it has to change almost immediately, because when you come in, you need a certain level of maturity. You need to come in knowing that, okay, I have a dispute. We haven't been able to solve it ourselves, which is why a third party needs to come in. A third party needs to give their inputs. They need to see what the issue is, what the underlying core issues are, and then mediate. So a level of self-awareness and also an openness to mediate, to solve their issues, has to come, and it has to come from within. So everyday heroes, when I talk about, I think it has to start from within yourself. That's where, like everything else comes from within. This has to as well.
That's it. You're saying something. Oh, okay. We come from
That's
within.
it.
I'm going to ask you to elaborate on it. It comes from within in what sense? How does that work?
In what sense? As in just the openness to solve your disputes outside court. Because especially from what I have seen up until now, people will be, okay, I will drag you to court, and I'm going to sue you. And that's the first thing people say. They're not ready to come in and say, or just acknowledge that there's an underlying dispute. And the undercurrents that are at work and at play. So if people, sorry, you were saying something, sir?
Yeah, I'm just trying to say that is it a chicken and the egg situation? That if you have those people, then you will look at the process. If you look at the process, those people will come out. How do we, or if this chicken and the egg is going on, how do we break it? Break the cycle, don't break the egg, because that otherwise we won't have any chicken and then no egg.
Right, sir.
So how do
I
we break
think
that?
because a very good example is what we're doing right now, talking about it, having conversations around these topics, educating people about mediation, and that the fact that it exists and it is actually effective. I think the effectiveness part has not reached a lot of people. So just talking about it, awareness. And I think this has to come from a more grassroots level, say our educational institutions, wherein I don't think I have ever been taught in school that something like mediation exists. Of course, we have seen our family members and our elders and people who have done it in religious communities. However, just to put it in words and put it out there that this is a very effective conflict resolution system, I think that has to start from our educational institutions.
I couldn't agree any more with you. That is something I'm very passionate about. And for Ken, I took his class at Pepperdine, and for my final paper, I wrote a 30-page paper on conflict resolution in my children's school and how they could implement a peer conflict resolution system for the students, for the parents, for the educators, so that each realm had their own peer counseling situation going on. And I feel that children, it is absolutely up to us to teach children conflict resolution skills, and the fact that they're not learning in school conflict resolution skills, but I just learned at Pepperdine, those skills for children would be amazing. They would grow up and have skills that a lot of us didn't have growing up. So I'm very, very passionate about it. I started as a peer mediator when I was like in 5th grade, and I learned those skills early on, and that helped bring out who I am as a person, and it helps me help other people. And I feel like so many children need to know this.
Erin, you picked up a whole topic in a way that I'll go into a totally different action, because the moment you say teach, I have to come in. Because here, look, don't misunderstand ever what I say. Teaching people who don't have the mindset, all kinds of things, please do it. But here the idea is, being the mediators conference here also, and I keep talking the mediator mindset, those people, do they need that kind of teaching? Can you teach them that to be? That's what I have tried to go on. Yesterday also we discussed this, Arit, that to teach someone and create a mediator mindset. Okay, I think if you can, that's like cracking the code. That's the holy grail kind of thing. We can.
Well, but for me, it gave me the opportunity to learn those tools. I had the mediator skills within me, but it gave me those tools early on, and I was able to use those tools throughout my life. So that's where I'm coming from, is those kiddos who are eventually going to be inherent mediators need those tools early on.
Please, I'll give you 1 second, because this is an important topic. What you have to do is you have to prove me wrong. All I've been saying, you have to go tell me that whatever you're saying is, if we can't abuse here. Okay, it's not the best thing that you're telling us, because these skills can be taught. We can make mediators in schools, we can make mediators in communities, we can make get them. If you can just tell me that, I'll be happy. I am looking at Mediator GPT. We won't look at Mediator GPT if we can create mediators. So please tell me that when you were in school and you had a peer mediation program, you did not have a mediator mindset, or you did have a mediator mindset? What do you think today?
No, I did.
Perfect. Then
did
where is the
already,
teaching going
but
to come from?
what I'm saying is that I had that mediator mindset, but the tools were not given to me until they were given to me. So when I got those tools, then I went off with them. And what I'm saying is we can reach more people who
You have to tell us about this. No,
inherent.
Erin, please, I want to know about this. Really, it's interesting. You said you were given the tools. So what were those tools that you were given?
Reactive listening.
So again, then you'll have to go
body
one by
language.
one. No, one by one you'll have to go. So Erin, when you said you had a mediator mindset, you were not doing active listening. So then you didn't have the mediator mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. This comes naturally to people.
There are certain parts of active listening that you do have inherently, that at least I had inherently, but there is always more to learn. There's always more to add to that skill. So yes, I had the raw skill.
You have to tell me that because I have to create that. I have to create that skill development project. You have to tell me that. Why? What is that additional thing that a person needs? I've been asking this for so long, asking people to tell me this. This conference was a teaser for that. So what are those topics that we need to cover? But we take it up after this session. We'll have a discussion. Lisa will take us through the presentation, and then we can finish this, and then we can have a conversation on this. Sorry, Lisa. Are you with us now? Because we can't.
The load shedding kicked in, so I had to swap over my power supply, but I'm back. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Mediation as a community service. So as we know, there are professions in medicine and even law, some parts of the world that require community service as part of the qualification process. My proposal is that, or my submission is that mediation should begin as and remain a community service. And I've got ways to implement that. So the whole idea obviously is to have local accessibility. So within the community, there's a locality, or there's a center where the service is available to members of the community. Right? Community mediation centers, I did a little bit of research and I found that they do exist, which is nice. To the extent that they work, I don't know, but they do exist. And I think it's with all the kinds of community centers that we have, you can have a sports club, and you can have a Rotary club, and you can have, a community pool, you can have a community athletic center. I think this is one of those centers that can really, really do a lot for the community, in terms of, as I said, taking your disputes to people that are known to you, and so bringing them to a local pool of mediators. And like I said, they can be sourced from various places. So, and of course, they'll come with their special motivations, like I said, religious, educational, from a peer group. So they can be motivated in different ways. But you have this diverse group of local mediators in a center, whether they meet in a hall or whether they meet in someone's house, but it's this availability of this group of people. And of course, this kind of center can also, I believe, lead to discovering other people. So in the process of even solving, maybe the person was a party to a dispute, a participant in a dispute, and then in the process of the mediation, they come out as a mediator, or they are identified. So I think a community mediation center is also a nice kind of discovery place for other community mediators. Anoushka, you want to bring in a bit more here?
I mean, you've covered it enough, but again, networking, I think, would happen in these mediation centers where people can meet other people, other mediators. They can identify specializations as well. Say, for agricultural disputes, say for commercial disputes, for family disputes. So I think these mediation centers will act as a great place for networking as well.
Yeah, and like Vikram is saying, to become that professional, mediator, obviously you want to export your skills. So, if you have people, even other mediators from other communities or other villages or other countries even coming in to visit your mediation center, then yes, it's a fantastic opportunity to improve your skill and also to network and to learn from other communities, etc. So I think that's one way that where we can situate these community mediators. And also I'm proposing how we have internships for law, that these centers, we can offer like Vikram skills development, where we are teaching or we are enhancing their skills. We can offer mediation internships where if we've discovered somebody or somebody has been coming to the mediation center and has taken a liking or discovered their ability for this kind of thing, then you have things such as internships or kind of where you're shadowing somebody from the pool of mediators and you offer them the skills development and the enhancements that they need to then, perpetuate in that, to multiply in that community and become a mediator in that community and eventually, become exportable. So I think mediation internships in communities as well. We have something similar here in South Africa, not so much an internship, but it's like a program by one of the local organizations that, they take students under their wing and they place them at different, again, it's situated in the court, unfortunately, but it sort of sets aside a day where they go and they sort of walk the corridors of the court and they see who needs their matter to be mediated. So that obviously that's unfortunately situated in the court. But I think if we have such a thing where even if we have a center or we have a place where they meet and to say, okay, this is where you're going to be interning as a mediator and these are the training and these are the enhancements that we offer for the skills development, etc. I think that's one way that we can multiply this thing and we can perpetuate it in the community and then let it be taken out as well. Mentioned by other community mediators, the multiplication within the community. And of course, if there are too many and other people need, then they can be exported or shared with other communities. Skill development for community mediators. Obviously, we've identified that they have the natural ability and they have the characteristics or the personality traits for the work. But of course, skills development can include enhancing or encouraging those natural qualities and teaching them how to keep people focused during a mediation, because when you are getting people from the sort of community coming in and you're not so familiar with them, okay, it might, it's easy for it to become a discussion or a debate. But again, if you're giving them skills development, you can teach them, okay, this is how you keep people focused during a mediation. Teaching how to lay down minimum etiquette, because it's not, as much as it's a community space, sometimes we have to put down manners and basic courtesies. So that can be part of skills development. And of course, as Anoushka gave me some input about pre-mediation meeting, or as I like to call it, discovery meeting, where you can encourage them to meet with the people beforehand and get to know the people first and then get into the mediation. So that's just some suggestions about how we can enhance the skills within our communities of people that we identify as mediators. And of course, this is something else that Anoushka brought out, is taking people away from this adversarial mindset. And it's just unfortunate as Vikram has identified, and in our own local space here, that mediation is situated in the courts, which just takes away from the nature of the thing. So it's situating a non-adversarial mechanism in an adversarial space. So I think identifying community mediators and creating mediation centers can help a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to change, it's going to cause the revolution, okay, but I think it can help to shift a little bit away from adversarial to non-adversarial mindset, where the centers can help to draw people away from the courts, because often that's what people do. If they're having a problem, the court is the first, or the attorney's office is the first resort, or the first port of call. So I think if we sort of get people out of that mindset of there's another step before the courts, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, here's your local mediation center, or here's your local mediation group, get in touch with this person. And so we, in a small way, we start to turn the ship a bit, and we shift them from going the adversarial route and taking their family member or whoever it is to court and saying, okay, here's a mediation center. Before you go to the court, stop here first and try this out. Anoushka, you brought this out, so I'm going to give you a chance to touch on it a bit.
We'll also give Erin a chance also at some stage. Erin also has to come in. Please give her a chance.
Yes, please.
Erin,
I
we'll
was
give you
just
a
about
chance.
to say,
Yeah.
before we discuss this, when Lisa was away for a while. Erin, please feel free.
Whenever you want to give her a chance.
Now's a good time. I really like the idea of having a community mediation center, and I do like that it is drawing people away from the court, because the court is not a good process for mediation, in my opinion. And so I'm really fascinated by what you're having to say, Lisa and Anoushka. This is a really great topic.
Okay, so that means you're not coming in. I have to come into that
I'm
mediation
not.
center.
Not
Okay.
that-
So let me tell you,
not
look,
this
mediation
one.
centers. Let's look at the US example. They have done how many centers have they made? I think 4,000 centers they've made over the last so many years. 400,000 matters go into mediation centers in the entire country over the years that they have set it up. 100 million matters go into courts, and these 400,000 matters includes matters which are referred from the courts. So it did not work. So the center did not work as such, I can see. But what the reasons are, we'll of course find out. Is there an issue with creating a physical space? I keep saying bringing people under the tree. So are we taking people to wherever the mediator is? People come there, and then that connection happens, because that's the way traditionally it's been happening. You went to the mediator's house, you sat there, and whatever had to happen happened there. And of course, I don't know whether you people heard this, but there are people who come and watch those. So it's not.
I think it's a great idea, because if I had had this option to go into a center before getting divorced, I think that our outcome would have been a better outcome for my entire family, because the court forced us to go to mediation, and that did not do anything for any of us. It put us in a very bad situation. And so I really like the idea of having the ability to go to a center or to identify a certain person before having to go to court.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the thing is, we're looking at the venue. We're looking at the center perspective, that venue part of it. Does it connect it to the mediator, and then you connect it to that space that the mediator is in? Is that good for the process, better for the process, or you go into a certain third place, which is totally a new place for all of them? Does that work better? Because the atmosphere matters today. Of course, in the online world, it matters majorly. I mean, you're sitting in the comfort of your house, and you are doing it. So aren't you better off doing it somewhere where you are comfortable? So same way in the mediator space, you have the option of, if you have a dispute at your place or the other person's place or the mediator's place or a third place. And in that third place also, in terms of the court annex spaces or otherwise, those kind of spaces. So what space would be the best space to be in? I think that's what we need to discuss. And of course, if people have had experiences, I can see that, of course, there are places where community centers were made, but it didn't really take off. But some places it did take off.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could connect with someone and say, hey, let's go to the park. Let's go get a cup of coffee. That would be the better way to
that's what we've been
discuss
talking
things.
about. Elise was there. We spoke about it, and Elise has actually put out that fix up time for outdoor one. I would like to do mediations in outdoor spaces, so she wants to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Bringing people under the tree is the concept. That the one title I put out once somewhere. Bringing people under the tree. There was a discussion last year also on this. And Lisa feels, why are we discussing all these things? Yes, Lisa, please, you go ahead. I think Erin and me will have a long discussion after this. Erin. We have lots to discuss. We won't shut the live stream. That will go on. That discussion should be up there. But let's give Lisa her space that she wants to take us through. Yeah.
I'm done.
That's it. Then you have your slideshow up there.
I'm done. Yeah. I don't know what to put this.
Okay, now you're done. Thank you very much. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Anoushka, for your whatever time you spent on creating this presentation. So nice of you to do that. And of course, I didn't participating in it. So at this point of time, can we go into those discussion points that I wanted? Is it all right? Okay. So because look, Anoushka spoke about that they are familiar with, say, certain technical things about whatever agriculture. You said agriculture, and so that by itself has to be a discussion which we've had earlier, that is domain knowledge necessary? That's really important, because a lot of people push mediation, of course, in relation to not community, but getting lawyers involved, saying they have domain knowledge. Is it process knowledge and process expertise, or is it domain knowledge and domain expertise? Because a person with a mediator mindset will pick up. But this is not about, it's not about being the technical expert at this space is more about getting the conversation, getting the information, getting the right people into the discussion. So if a technical expert is required, we'll bring the person in, not a problem at all. But to be a technical expert, have domain knowledge, to be a person to go to, yes, there will be preferences for that if people are not so familiar with the process. So it's like bringing a person in. Again, let's talk about disputes, and everyone says lawyers have to be involved because it involves the law. No, it doesn't involve the law. The law comes in somewhere. It is a certain legal arrangement that you have, which is, of course, what is in dispute. So what do you think about that, Anoushka? Any thoughts on that?
I feel like domain knowledge is a very important part, although it necessarily need not be the only thing one is looking at when they are selecting a mediator or appointing a mediator.
Not going to be so simple. You have to say why. Why is domain knowledge necessary? You can't just go and make the statement and get out of it. You have to explain it. Why is it important?
Because
think of an example also. Think of an example in your head and then take it from there.
Well, off the top of my head, again, agriculture, for example, say there's a dispute about a certain crop which is to come out at a certain time, and one of the parties didn't do it, because of which the entire dispute happened. So if a mediator is already aware that, okay, this is the time when the crops have to be gotten out of the fields, this is the time when the harvesting is to be done, probably they can give a little more insight and come on and say, okay, it's just a 1 week delay. So the loss that you're talking about is not as great as you're making it out to be. Probably it's okay to say it's a settlement issue wherein somebody needs to be compensated for certain losses, and the amount of said loss is in dispute. It'll be easier for the mediator to come to a conclusion that, okay, this I think will be a good settlement amount. That's why I say that domain knowledge, although not the primary thing that you're looking at, but I feel that it is necessary in certain disputes, not of course in everything.
So what you're saying is, if someone is familiar with that aspect of when the harvest had to be done, would be more forceful in terms of when they try to bring them together. Is that what will work, or isn't it as easy as, let's ask this person who does this must ask that person, when does the harvest have to happen? Is it because they've limited the number of people that you get involved? Because as you go into domain knowledge and domain expertise, you're narrowing the people. Problem is the people we don't have. The people with the mediator mindset, you have limited people. The way I look at it, each of us will have their own way of what we look at mediator mindset. But the ones that I'm talking, they're not so many. So then we'll keep narrowing it down. Then we won't have anyone left. So who has that particular knowledge? So it's the person getting. Okay, this process aspect I will have to keep. Maybe we can do another discussion on the process part. Domain. That's a good idea. One discussion on domain expertise versus process expertise, or process knowledge, or let's say expertise only. That sounds better. I think that's an important discussion.
It's just a choice. It's just a choice that the parties are making, subject to the availability of such mediators. I mean, if there are.
But we started from the reverse. We started from people in the community whom they trust. We are starting from that point. And then
that's on a nascent stage. So say in villages where communities are primarily agricultural in nature, I mean, wouldn't it be better than someone coming from the outside and saying, I know the mediation process and how it works? So of course they'll be able to guide the process better, but I mean, personal opinion that domain knowledge does make things better.
So basically, we're of course still on two different sides. I'm still saying that those people are trusted people are available. And even this third person that you're talking out is a trusted person in some other community. And that person, bringing that person in, or person within your own community whom you trust. I mean, there's no difference between those two. It's not that, like you said, process expertise from this third person. And we are saying this person in that community also has the same process expertise. So, because I tell you, when you're talking at the village level or a smaller level, as this goes up, this discussion people take on maybe complex commercial disputes on, okay, do you have knowledge in terms of getting lawyers into the picture? An intellectual property dispute. Do you need a lawyer who's an expert at intellectual property to be a mediator? But then it goes against the concept that I'm trying to put across, because if there is a expertise required in the law, you bring a lawyer into the mediation for that particular aspect of it. So that is why as this goes on, this aspect then gets developed into certain people will do this kind of mediation, which is what I'm trying to break. No, it's not required. This is just a knowledge of a certain aspect which is required. This process has nothing to do with that. When we need this, we'll bring this person in. Similarly, that everything goes down to the same level, be it at the community level or the most complex commercial matter. Concept, still we have to be sure what I feel, I mean, I've been saying this, we have to debate it, that right from there to here, whenever you say domain knowledge, then you start from domain knowledge, then it becomes domain expertise. Then you start bringing it out to only a few people who will do it. So
agreed, sir. But then, I mean, again, I'd need your opinion. Wouldn't that compromise on the confidentiality aspect of mediation? Because when parties do not want a third person to be involved, they might not necessarily agree to the idea of bringing someone else who has this domain knowledge in. So especially if it's in a community.
So that means they find a person whom they can trust and has the domain knowledge. That's like down to such few people. There might be none left then. But okay, that's a discussion we need to definitely have. But at this level, I'm saying that if the people that we are talking about are people right now, community, when you're talking about, are people who exist, and for a moment we'll just say they're familiar with all the issues that come up, because they've been part of that system for their life. So they know that. Let's keep it easy at this point, because Lisa is getting, I don't know. Lisa, are you okay? Not looking all right. Are you okay? Well, maybe it's because it's dark. That's why. Okay, what else did I want to bring up? That's the problem with these slideshows, that you want to talk about it at that point of time, then it goes away. But okay, I think basically it's about the centers part of it. Yes, that part of it needs to be discussed better, because physical structures, anyway, to create physical structures by itself is a big issue. The numbers that you need, and it's going to be then who's going to fund it. And then once the centers happen, then bureaucracy happens because someone runs the center. Then who are they bringing into that center? So I just felt it's a good connection of the people directly with the mediator, and the space between them, it's up to them, on a cup of coffee, or sitting in their house, or sitting in the park, wherever it might be. That should not be a limitation, but that's their own personal reference. I think centers, I don't know whether centers are a good thing or not. Erin, you think centers are good things?
Well, I think that if there was a phone number that I could call, like if there was, I need a mediator and I need help and I'm not sure who to identify in my community, but I found a phone number that I can call and I can ask somebody to come help me. And that point, then we can decide where we're going to meet and what we're going to do, because I would feel more comfortable in the community somewhere, having like I said, going to the park and
Online
sitting
space,
down, or
will you be comfortable
online space,
online?
going into your home. I do prefer being in person, but online space works as well.
Because what you're going to be getting is one common number for the globe. There will be one database available, all the mediation circles, everyone's names
Well, I
will
mean,
be out
in
there.
my community, like
Anyway,
I want a phone number for my community. I
Is it-
want to like advertise in my community that if you need somebody to help you walk through your dispute or help you bounce ideas off of, call this number, and it's a local number where
I'm
local people
making this,
show up.
Erin, I'm making this community the world. We have this concept in India. We
I
say the
get it.
world is one family. This is one community. I'm giving you one large community to be part of, and everyone is part of that community. Why would you be more comfortable? Look, as we go on, we're trying to say that the larger community is what you have to be part of, and anyone in that whole space is someone that is, of course, trusted
Well,
by
if it's
someone in
somebody
one part.
outside of my community, it has to be on the phone or it has to be on the computer, right? And inside my community, I can meet face to face and wherever we'd like. And so it kind of just depends on what you need in the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely that's the connection that you will make as you go along if you prefer that space. But do you think physical spaces in all kinds of issues and matters is all right to meet? Because today I was reading, there was this tweet someone had put out about the mandatory mediation in the UK. And this women's organization said that, why are you pushing people into mandatory mediation in cases where there could be threat of violence in that kind of situation? Also, are you putting a person in a position where they might be coerced into a settlement? So there was a debate someone started on that. So what is your...
Yes, and my next topic with you guys is trauma and mediation, and talking about how we can notice that the parties are maybe not acting in a way that's healthy, and how are we going to go about that? Because and I'll share this in my next meeting with you, but I had a very difficult marriage where I was dealing with a lot of abuse, and in that mediation that I was forced to go to, the mediator was forcing me to mediate with my abuser, and he was manipulating me inside that meeting, and she didn't notice it, and it was very difficult for me to say no to him in those meetings. And so I feel like it's very important that as a mediator, we don't have to be completely trauma aware and have all of these skills, but we do need to know when it is okay to mediate and when we might need to step back and really, separate the parties and talk about things, even if it's in a small nuance of difference between, because looking at my ex-husband and I in that mediation, it must have been very difficult for the mediator to tell that I was being abused. But there are underlying tendencies that we can learn to pick up on, right, in order to work through that. So I'm really looking forward to that topic.
Yeah. So please join that conversation on Twitter on this aspect that has become out. This discussion has happened because one side is saying, all are these women organizations, all they have is to say this, why are they doing this? And the other side, obviously, people like you have put out their comment on how exactly what you were saying. They've had that experience in a mediation. So I think we will take it up in your session. But Anoushka wants to say something. Yes, Anoushka.
Erin, first of all, I'm so sorry that you had to go through what you had to go through. And it's very, very brave of you to speak up and share your experience. So I really appreciate that. Coming to the part of centers which strode into this whole topic, I feel like centers are just an option that we are opening up to parties. So it doesn't have to be mandatory that you have to meet up at a center. But say a mediator does not have a designated space to meet up, or probably isn't comfortable in their homes talking about issues that do not involve their own family. These centers will only give them an additional space and additional option that this is where you can come if you don't have a designated space or office to meet up at.
But party's word has to go out, Anushka. This has been discussed very
People,
clearly. Participants. Really use
I stand
participants.
corrected, sir.
In this space, that's what happens. Parties are outside. In the other spaces that people talk about, here it's only participants. Okay, so that okay,
My
that's another, yeah.
apologies.
So okay, no issue on this. The center part of it needs to, I think, grow as it has to happen. So what we are down to, of course, community mediators existing to be valued by people. I think that seems to be the first thing that needs to happen. They have to be valued. But are you looking at them moving themselves into full-time mediators, or it's okay that they're doing, because what has happened in communities traditionally, people with high social standing or religious heads seem to be the people that people have gone to. So these are people for whom it wasn't about definitely about money. It was their social standing that, oh yes, people come to me to settle things. So, and of course the people were also maybe comfortable with that. So should we just leave it at that, or should we take these people forward and make this their full-time occupation? What do you think, Lisa? Anything on this?
I think, like I said about, it should start as and remain as a community service. I think yes, we can move them up in a sense. Give them the accreditation and whatever the world requires of them to be recognized as professionals. But I think there must always be that community aspect, like a doctor, on a plane. Those are not his patients, but if there's a medical emergency, then they'll call for a doctor, and then he has to put his skills into action. So I think it must always, as much as it can become an occupation, and we can move them up, I think there must always be that inclination to do that service to the community. So even if you don't charge your community, or you don't charge a certain group of people, but they still partake of the same skill level, I think there must still be that element of service, like with any other skill that we train to have. But this is something that's not trained. It's something that we've discovered. So I think it should at some level still be retained as a service to community. And yes, we can do it as a job as well, but we should not lose focus and let it only stay in that professional space.
What do you think, Anushka?
So it's a completely individual call. So if the person wants to take it up as a profession, we can give them a push, certain tools that they would require, we can do that. But at the end of the day, they should be allowed to choose whether or not they want to take it up as a full-time profession or do it part-time as a service-oriented service.
What about you, Erin? Erin, what do you think?
I agree with Anoushka. I think that it's important to give the opportunity to move up and the ideas of how to support themselves to get where they would like to go if that's what they'd like to do. But also just to identify people in the community that just want to be there and support the community whenever they have the ability to do so is very important.
But do you think that the skill of a mediator in terms of their own skill development happens a lot more when you do mediations? Does your mediation skill become better with mediations or with going to institutions to get trained? As I'm using that word. Don't take still using it to be trained, or does it come from doing mediations? What do you think?
I think both.
Lisa has something to say. That's it.
Agreed.
No, Erin, it's fine. You can go.
No, Lisa, go for it.
She said it. She said both.
Both.
I'm all for, look, when it comes to my legal education stuff, they want to learn everything from the books. There isn't enough practical stuff, and law, for one, is a degree, or it's a profession that's inherently practical. We're not meant to stick our heads in books and theorize all the time. So for me, I see that lack of practicality, where I have to provide on-the-job training opportunities. I have to create programs for skills development, because they know the theory and they know what the book says, but they are asking basic questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And they're saying, apply your knowledge. They can't apply the knowledge. So I'm creating the program where they're like, okay, now I'm going to walk you through this thing and I'm going to coach you. So I think I would definitely, or I would certainly sort of err on the side of, you learn it, and especially if you're using reflective practice, you have to learn from every mediation. You have to take away something. And I feel if we get too set in our ways, where we know the job, we know the terminology, okay, it's a family mediation, this is the way it's gonna go. It's definitely, if I could say, okay, yes, I do want to maybe do some reading, but I wouldn't place a lot of value on my reading as I would on getting in the field and working. And of course, treating every mediation as unique means that you're going to pull something different from each one. And I would have to go back and reflect and say, okay, what has challenged me, or where are my skills, or where's my my empathy is not as great as I thought it was. Now I'm a bit challenged on that. So I would definitely on to keep yourself sharp with mediation and any career. You have to do it. You have to keep. That's why you don't get to retire. And if it's something that's inbuilt, then till your dying breath, you must be solving problems. Yeah. So
basically, it comes down to just do it. Okay, so let's just do it.
Yeah.
So exactly what I'm trying to say, that when we have only limited people with that mindset, if we do not take them forward in a manner when this becomes a full-time thing, so actually we're going to lose out on those people for sure. Community is not going to benefit the way it should benefit. But are we in a situation where communities are willing to value these people so that they can take it up as a full-time occupation? How does that work? Because I'm also trying to figure that out, that how do these people get remunerated? Because when you say community funds it, because I look at it exactly the way if the work that I do, I see community doesn't really want to fund anything. So everyone wants everything out of it, but don't want to give. I mean, simple example that we were talking about with Elise, that I expect of, I don't share anyone's posts. For what reason? Because I don't want to flood people that I am connected with too much. So in that, sharing won't happen. So same thing for a community. It's very difficult for people to work in communities where they want to do something for someone else. So for that sense, I don't see community themselves individually them saying, okay, we will contribute and we will remunerate this person. That's what. So I don't know whether that will work. I think that it would not. I've seen people's concept of how they don't like to contribute towards anything up till they're not forced to do it. So that seems to be one thing. So other thing is that is it going to come from taxpayers' money? Is that going to be something? Is the government going to fund these things? Because they've tried it in places. A lot of funding goes into these things, but funding doesn't seem to be something which, on a scale that you need it. Are you going to be dependent on someone to fund and then things go forward? Because then obviously there is going to be other vested interests who will come in, and of course in some countries corruption will come in, all those things. So I want to know what you think of how that whole process and those people get remunerated, if, because I want to take them forward on a full-time basis. I would want to do that. So please, some suggestions there. This time it's going to start with Anoushka, because look, nodding your head will go against you, Anoushka. You nodded your head a little too much. Now you have to tell us.
One of the ways could be making up firms, say like we have litigation firms or that are already in existence. We could come up with mediation firms or chambers. Also, I think self-funding, as in the participants themselves could probably share 50-50. I think these are the two things that come to mind immediately. As you said, so community funding may not be effective. Neither will government funding be, unless people are forced to. But I think to a certain extent, government funding could work.
Yeah, but the only thing is that now dependency on a particular government for a person who's, you're going to tell someone, okay, you leave everything else you do. This is what you're going to do because you're providing a very valuable service to the community. And of course, we want you here full time, but we can't pay you. And then someone is going to say, okay, we will disburse this amount to you. I mean, it's a discretionary thing, which will be something which would people want to leave it to some other person to decide what to give, when to give. So I'm just thinking from that perspective. I think this, of course, the participants paying is what it should work at. Look, you are getting a
Seems
benefit.
like the best option, right?
But that is where I think the challenge lies, because on this other end, this whole free and mediation that has gone around. And this is where that whole court system thing that I keep fighting against, that now it's available for free out there. Why don't we go there? That's going to be a big challenge, that you're fighting against free. How do you fight against free? So, and that is being funded by whom? By the person giving that service for free. Those mediators who are in the court system are giving it for free. So the funding happens by itself. And of course, the other aspect of infrastructure created, it's the judiciary's vested interest, so they created in the court system. I mean, ultimately what is happening? The taxpayer is funding it. It's simple as that. So centers are made with taxpayers' money. That's what happens. If certain stipend, I don't know, certain, what we say, honorarium is what we, in India, that term is used, that an honorarium is paid to them. But where it has come from? If you do not want to take anything from the participants, it's going to come from somewhere. So it's going to come from taxpayers' money. So what is happening? Taxpayer is funding people's disputes. That's the worst thing that can happen. So it has to be a profit center by itself. That's the way it actually should be. It should be a profit center. The person should be making money. That person who's providing valuable services. So would you be willing to actually pay a mediator? I think that is a question that we have to ask people. I think that, and when that happens, when people are willing to pay a mediator at the community level, that, I think that's where I would look at it that way. But of course, Erin has some thoughts on that. Erin, what do you say?
Well, I do a sliding scale because I know, as a person with a bleeding heart and who wants to help everybody, you know, we do a lot of free things, right? We do a lot of things that are just because we want to, and it's the right thing to do. But I think two other ways that we can help ourselves are donations. So I do ask at the end of a mediation, you know, that I've done for free, you know, if this is something that's really moved you and helped you and changed a part of your life, you know, donations are always welcome. And that is something that's hard to broach as a topic, but you can get into it. And then fundraising for your issue. So, you know, I've thought a lot about how can I help those who are very poor and need more support, because I do work with a lot of clients who are very, very under the poverty level by far. So I don't want to charge them for my service, and they need it badly. And so a lot of what I'm thinking about doing is fundraising for donations so that we can help, so that I can help people when they need it and still have some sort of funding to keep myself going, because I am a human. I do have bills to pay, and I do need to get that side of my life done. But on the other side, I don't really care about that. What I care about is helping people, right? So that push-pull, we had talked about that yesterday, Vikram, that push-pull between doing the right thing versus getting our bills paid off, our student loans paid off. It's a hard place to be in. It really, truly is.
Not our student loans, your student loans.
My student loans. Well, for those of us who have them.
You're the only one who has that, because that's one issue that you definitely face. That's a big issue. But look, this is where the whole thing is. The people with the mediator mindset want to do things for the community, want to do things for people. And that, of course, is then misused by the court system, that they want to do it. They have the passion. Let them do it for free. If they're doing it, what is our problem? So that's obviously going to be a thing. But please, Erin, teach me how to go about getting that funding. I will also have to now go out to get funding. All the good things that I do, I feel I do. I don't know whether I do.
I think you and I should talk more, Vikram, because you could fundraise for this and make it I think this would be a great thing, because I know for me, I love participating. I saw your website. I loved what you had to say. So I became a patron. And I think more people who read that and who are in our field and want to be, promoted in a conference such as this, or even just get the word out there. I mean, I think it's very important that everyone know about conflict resolution, and that you can learn and you can help yourself. And, if we are to charge people for that, we're not going to get anywhere. So fundraising, I think, is going to be our best bet.
You tell me how, because look, this patron thing, I told you, I don't put out how many patrons there are because I get embarrassed, but I think I should put it up. Okay, both of you, look, Lisa is also a patron. But if I put it out and you find out there are about these 10 people in this whole world in the last so many years are the only people who have become your patrons, I mean, I get embarrassed. I'm not providing anything to people that they don't even want to be a patron. So it's embarrassing for me. I'm more than anything else.
I think we have to promote Vikram here, guys.
Everyone, look, that's an issue. That's why I'm saying that no one wants to do things for things. And why should I even blame them? I mean, look, if you get things for free, why would you want to pay for it? And I can't ask people to pay for it because that goes against my whole concept. Because if I ask people to pay for watching something, then that goes totally against what I wanted to do. And I'm not going to do it. That's not going to happen. So I'm fine. Again, this comes to the skill development project. But Lisa, is it going to be skills development project or skill development project? What would be the right terminology? How does it work? Because I always hear of skill development project or skill development program. But obviously, there are more than one skill which is involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends how many skills, how many
in a way,
develop.
No, in a way, there are more than one skill. Because look, I'm talking about the mediators, the peacemakers, and the participants. So we want to develop skills in each of them. So in that case, can it be skills development?
Yeah, skills development.
Yes, sounds all right. Because I've been struggling with this, and I've been saying it does just skills development didn't sound all right to me. But because you put it up on that screen and I kept reading it so many times, skills development. So you think that sounds all right? Skills development sounds all right?
Skills development, yeah.
Okay. So that without this funding part, Erin, we have to find a way out of this, because the skills development project, why I'm saying might be a little different, is that let it go out live streamed so that everyone benefits from it. And if you want to join the Zoom session, then you can pay the person who's doing it. I still don't want to come to me. If the person who's doing it sends something to me, I'm happy. But I don't want people to spend time. They're going to be taking out time, and they have lots to give out to people, which we talked about. We were talking in the yesterday's sessions therein, that the whole Mediator GPT or Chat GPT today, Chat GPT has lots of information about with all the books in the world, and everything written there is all available to it. What it doesn't have is access to those lectures which take place in all these institutions. So she went to one institution which was supposed to be well known for conflict resolution. So that content is not available to Chat GPT as I can see today, but parts of it will be, because those professors must be giving some session somewhere. Now, whether Chat GPT has picked up from the transcript of videos, all my videos definitely have transcripts also, but is it reading those transcripts? So similarly, so many videos, if the transcripts are available to it, maybe it's picking up a lot from there. So basically, we were talking about it, Lisa, yesterday, was the aspect of one, that you are trying to do good for humanity. So a person, say a professor in a institute like hers, say, is wanting to do things for the larger public. Will you be willing to share this on a public place so that a machine can pick it up? Because if machine can pick it up, only can it learn from that when you give it access to it. So first, will they be able to do that? The other aspect is the commercial part against the larger good, which is what I am struggling with, which is what we are talking about for maybe for community mediators also. Personal, their own livelihood, basics against doing the larger good for the community. So that balance is always going to come up. So will people be able to share that? But once, if they do share it, and that information is available, you'll be very surprised yesterday what we went through. Erin, I don't know. I mean, I felt that interaction with ChatGPT was really a good interaction. And
Really
when we are creating mediators and people say we'll make you a mediator in those 40-hour factories, have a look at what ChatGPT does. Just have a look at it. And yesterday we didn't have, it was a made up kind of thing that we were doing yesterday. But if you are going to look at it from a very specific problem, and actual solution comes up for people, and they actually think, yes, this is a solution, and they work on it, what better can you do? So let's just put it up. Let's put it up what we did yesterday and have a look at it. And any of you has to go, because what I did was I had my dinner before I started the session. So I'm okay today. so if anyone wants to leave, please. So this is what we started with. This is how we put it out to ChatGPT. Let me know how slowly I should take it. Okay. And read it against what is being done in terms of making mediators. Would you be doing something different? Or how would you go about it? And they were thinking about the issue right there. So it wasn't like there was some very major details that they had.
It was very interesting watching the bubbles just, thinking and then slowly type out the answer. It was pretty cool. Yeah. But we also had really great conversation around the solutions that ChatGPT suggested.
Yeah, because I'm saying, I was explaining to Erin also and Jared, was that this layer of people existed, whom you went to, and at the first layer would give you these nice things to do. But if that layer is not available in the community, people can actually go here, which is accessible, free access available to you, and human time is not being used, so it doesn't need to be compensated. So they can actually, I don't know whether you're reading it. Anyone reading it? And Lisa, Anoushka, this is for you.
Yes, sir.
Erin?
Yes, I'm
okay.
Going through.
Tell me if I'm going too fast, I can slow it down.
Just skimming through, sir.
Please read it, Anoushka. This is important, because when we are talking about communities, we can at least to start with tell people that if you have an issue, why don't you just open this up and put it there? Up till we find those people, identify those people with the mediator mindset and put them out. Because I feel what 40-hour factories are doing, this ChatGPT has done a good job on this by itself. And this is when I'm sure it's just learning. Like Erin and I were discussing yesterday also, that everything that we are putting up there is also part of its learning process. So every time some question is asked and some okay, Lisa, are you okay speed wise? And
how willing? I'm sorry, I cut someone off.
You cut me off, which is normal.
I'm so sorry.
but what I was saying was that you can actually, this is, you're reading something. Like what the interesting part yesterday was it being generated live in front of you. So it's not that this is a text because for you, it's just another text that you're reading. But we can do it on an example which is specific that you think up right here. And we can
I
do
really
it
like that you can be honest and open, and just that you said, I want Erin to be reprimanded and I want her to, what was it? Reprimanded and
to be reprimanded for the scheduling conflict. Let's write up here.
And apologize. Reprimanded and apologize. And I think that it's awesome. You can just put that in there and this comes up. Understood. You want her to apologize. You want this. That's great. And then it gives you solutions.
And for you, it might seem like, what is it? What is it? Told you this is very normal. For a lot of people, this is not normal. To give them this direction in life itself is really important. Rather than them not even ever interacting with each other, at least if it's coming from machine, things might be easier for them. Who knows? And it's free. Okay, so the free part gets taken care of. So what we were doing was yesterday said one will be Mediator GPT, which is the machine, and then there'll be a human mediator if this doesn't work for you, because those people are limited. So Lisa is at least reading it. Anoushka, of course, is not reading it. That's a different thing. She's skimming. But why did we do this? Erin, we could have just done another example. Why did we have to read this? Think of something, Anoushka, think of some problem. Lisa will think of something. We could do a live thing on that.
How about we do a family dispute?
Yeah, we'll do it right here. Right here. Think of it, okay? Right now, just put your mind into, if you want to make notes, do it. But it has to be a very real thing, because it's going to ask you questions. It has to be real. So for us to see whether the output is really something which can be used. So anything that you have, Lisa, if you have something which is really a real example that you want to take up. So solutions that started coming out, okay? Options are being generated by Mediator GPT. At least he agreed. That's a great solution. I had to put it up there because we had to reach the end of it also. So this was, you have to just give it this kind of prompt. You are now in a joint meeting, you're in a meeting with so and so. It understands all that. Anoushka skimming. Erin's also already read it. I have already read it. This is, so you saw that there is some solutions coming up. It's quite a lot. Erin, we did quite a lot yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
My God, this is like, it goes on. And then I said, okay, we've done enough. Let's not go any further. So, yes, Anoushka, please give us the example. Okay. Who are the people? Yes, Anoushka?
Sure, just use us, right?
No, Anoushka is giving us an example of people. So who are these people? You are a mediator for Anoushka and?
Okay. So say there's a situation where
you.
Okay, Anoushka wants to pursue law as a career.
So you're doing counseling. So there is a dispute within the family whether you want to do a law or not. That part of it.
Yes, sir. Like, because it's a very prevalent issue that especially
between Anoushka and her mother, father, what?
Parents.
Okay. Parents. Oh no, let's give them names now. Her mother, because the next time I'm going to be using her mother. What's her name? X. You want to give her? You want to give a name or not?
Jessie, sir.
Jessie and
Rajan.
Rajan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now it's the issue. Anoushka.
The issue is that Anoushka wants to pursue.
Okay, I'm not as fast as ChatGPT in typing. Okay, pursue law. Pursue law. A legal qualification. You want to give it more specific because sometimes in our own language we use certain things, but let's just assume that okay, it doesn't understand basic. So wants to pursue legal education, or wants to become a lawyer. What do you want to
say? Legal education.
However, who has the problem?
Both of them.
Okay, let's see, Jesse. Jesse and Rajan don't want her to do it. What do you want? What do they want?
They want me to be an engineer or a doctor. It makes more sense.
To be a doctor or an engineer, you have to decide.
Doctor. Yeah, yes, sir.
So this is for it to give you a basic idea. This is like the orientation, not opening statement. We use orientation. Just read what you said. Okay, this is important. We go from the top.
Because it gives an opening statement.
Okay, find a suitable time and place. You can read that place. So it's already in a way thought about that part.
Remind everyone to actively listen.
No, participate, calm and uninterrupted environment. Understands things very well, which is what we just discussed.
Common grounds.
Sounds all right. Sounds good, Anoushka. You reading it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, but again, what I'm thinking is the very fact that we cannot have an amicable environment is why we refer ourselves to mediation. And going to Chat GPT, I mean, that's not the first thing somebody would think of or even have the patience to sit.
You'll be surprised how fast people will take to it. Right now, you're saying this. If you can put it properly to people, it'll be the easiest. Okay, what we do is let's just talk to this. Let's see what it has to say. It'll be easier. And otherwise, you say let's go to Lisa and let's talk to Lisa. That'll be the difficult one to do. This one be easy. Ghar pe baithe. Let's just do it in the house. Let's open the computer and let's just. Okay, I'm sorry, Aryan. I just used a little Hindi there. I said we are sitting at home. Ghar mein baithe means sitting at home. So let's just do it. So if we can tell people that this is how easy it is to use it, so we can just tell them it won't be too much of an issue for them to try it. But to say that we'll fix an appointment with Lisa or Erin and go there and meet them, there might be hesitation there. I mean, I'm just looking at, let's see, we've just gone here and let's see. So now, what does it say?
All the basic stuff.
No, that's it starts with that. We are all right with this. It's an agreement.
Emphasize the importance of supporting Anoushka in her educational journey, regardless of the chosen career path.
We have to agree to what it's saying. So that.
Right now, I'm just reading that part there. That's yeah.
Yeah, because he has to know that you want to go forward. If you don't want to.
But it's asking you to do what. If you go back up just a little bit, I agree with.
Yeah, let's see what it has to say. I mean, I have not. You think I'm also reading all that? So that's done. So now you had a discussion. Okay, Biz told you to do something, and okay.
Yes.
Now what? Now what do we do beyond this? Please tell us. It wanted you to do all this, and what came out of it? So we'll have to tell the mediator, na? So we did. We found an environment, active listening. You listen to each other. You said what you had to say, because now things did not work out. After all this didn't work out. We just told you all this nice things.
I'm still not convinced about the efficiency of this AI as a mediator.
No, now you have to give your specific issues that you faced with your parents when you were trying to talk to them. So Anoushka has done what? It has explained. To her parents what? That she is not willing to
become a doctor.
She's not willing to become a doctor. Okay.
Or pursue medicine.
Okay, that's she's not willing to become a doctor. But these are a very different kind of things. Okay. They are very sure that they want her to be a doctor. How do we move forward? We have to. Let's see what creative solutions can it come down. This has to be general because the kind of things that you ask now is a very general thing. The dispute as such, is there really that kind of a dispute that you want to? Would you go to a community mediator for this? Would you?
So actually, there has been a situation like this wherein things got escalated and then they were just not ready to come at a conclusion.
Because this is where the problem lies. Now, this thinks this way.
Exactly.
Basically, it's a deadlock situation. Parents are not willing to budge, and Anoushka is not willing to give in. That's what it's ending up as. What do we do after that? What does Mediator GPT tell us? Is that what you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, you come to an impasse. Now what?
Exactly. Let's say we want to say it in that many words. There's an impasse.
Now what do we do?
Anoushka, because there is no choice. Anoushka is very sure of her. What are you sure of?
Career choice.
Right. Good. Only you can tell me. I can't tell you this.
Career choice.
What should they do is Erin's question. Oh. Yeah, come up with a better dispute. Come on, Anoushka. I know this is more a counseling session.
Yes, so but I mean, so are family disputes. I mean, how do you, if there is no physical person sitting?
That's what it tells you to do. If does it tell you to run off? Just go.
Who's going to pay my bills? Who's going to pay for my education?
See, and that's the part that gets it. You guys are already fighting because you don't have autonomy. And this is telling the parents to remember that you have autonomy. And so that's not going to work in this situation. I don't believe in this situation.
Exactly.
Especially if the parents are like, you don't have autonomy.
But they're going to counselor.
Seek external advice.
They want you, okay, you to be the third party. Well, this is working on Anoushka's mind, so we have to go through this.
We can come up with a different dispute.
No, let's go through this. Any of these things are acceptable to you? No.
It's a lot of telling her parents, this is about you, Anoushka, and what you'd like to do, not about you, parents.
And that's why parents have to be part of it, for them to give their point of view. This has to give this disclaimer has to be given.
Oh, wow. It says qualified professionals, family counselors, mediators.
This is something that they've put. That's why you have to go. But what we did was we didn't go through this route of saying this, so it did not give us this yesterday.
Wow, that's a really great response.
That's what they had to do. Later, once the whole this legal thing came up about giving legal advice.
Even when you put up legal questions, say research questions, that's the answer ChatGPT gives.
So can be yesterday it gave us the answers, so we can give us something more. Give us a dispute, Anoushka. Okay, anyway, they said, look, we've done this, so it's all available. This can be done. I mean, not a problem. This can be done. So this was part of the skills development part of it. Erin, you were saying that there were certain things when you were in school, in your peer mediation.
Oh yeah. So as a child, I was always focused on solutions. I was always the person that people came to talk about their problems. And I think it's mostly because I just listened and I didn't give unsolicited advice. But you can be really good at just listening and not know what it means to be actively listening. And so as I grew through learning tools, I learned better ways to listen, and I learned better ways to, restate what I'm hearing and have people leave my presence feeling more comfortable. Just in my body language, I learned that there were some things that I was doing with my body that was closing me off to the person in front of me and, counterproductive to what I was trying to do. And although I had those inherent skills at a very young age, and mostly due to the way I was raised as a human, I was able to develop on those tools. And so it was really cool, actually. I was in my program at Pepperdine when I went through some old stuff and I found a yearbook from my middle school where my middle school principal said, "To the ultimate mediator." That's how he signed it. And so then I realized, oh my gosh, I've been having these skills and walking through this motion of being a mediator my whole life without really realizing that that's what I was doing. So I think that my education brought to light who I am inside for me. And I really solidified what I like to do and what I need to do and what I want to do with my skills as I build upon them.
Look, the whole idea was and is going to be step one is those people who have already been identified by other people. Okay. Yeah. So they are already providing that within their school or community. First, let's pick that up because those are something that the user is telling us. User says if they pass our test, they passed our test because they've delivered. Then come people who will connect with it, like you were saying, you connected with it, but you needed some skill development on that. So that's why the skill development project available. You can access to that material, so you can then keep developing the skills. So, but the one is the user certified people. Those are the immediate ones who are actually out there and can be done. Can we start? They're already doing it. Now we're just creating that circle around it. The whole idea of the circles was this: that you have those people first, and you get that circle around those people. When other people, when you are maybe observing something that is happening, or you hear about it, and you say, "Oh, I connect with this." You join that circle and say, and be part of the circle. Then you all anyway have access to skill development. I think chances are it will be available for everyone the way I'm going about it. But sometimes I feel the only issue that will come up is there'll be too many videos online. And when you have too much information, that paradox of choice comes in, and then you don't watch anything. So that can also happen. So let's see how that works. We'll see how that works. But anyway, whatever it is, that skill development program can be created for every specific thing that you are saying. So if you said how to be a better active listener, whatever term you want to use for it, your topic, you can do that. Okay, so that's something that can be done. What else? Because I'm saying that these people who are already user certified, they have the skill. We don't need to do anything for them, because if we do anything for them, we're actually changing something which is already in a way perfect. of course, the person will evolve as you go along, and that evolution will happen only by them doing more mediations. Which is where I'm saying that if they can actually do this as something that they can take up as their occupation for a person who's already not in school or college, is actually working somewhere, and this is okay, this is the path I want to take. So it has to have something available in terms of the basic needs and all that. But what about the child in school? How does that child in school see a path for themselves? How do we create that path for them, saying that yes, this, you take this up, and then will they have to go through education? Of course, if education and school student loans is what they have to pick up and accumulate and live with that tension, yes, they should go through that education. But should they, is it possible that they don't have to go through that education? What do you think, Erin? Erin is the one who's with the student loan. Yes, Erin, what do you say?
Well, I mean, okay. Yes, I had inherent skills, but those skills can always be developed upon. And I hear what you're saying, that that person is, you know, just born with the skill and they don't need any support because they just know it. But it can also be enhanced.
No. Erin, what I'm saying is
In
that
my
all those
opinion.
things, all those things that you're saying, how they have to enhance, all that is available. All that content we've created. So everything that you
Yeah.
learned in every institute, we try to get the same professors to give it, which is what I was saying.
Sure.
Will they be willing to share it when it goes out into a public space?
That's why I love Ken. Ken says,
Exactly.
push my things out there. Take
Exactly.
what I give you and give it to everyone.
Exactly.
I feel the same way. It's necessary for us to do that. And it is going to cut off any form of, you know, making money from it. But we didn't get into this to make money. We got into this. If you are a mediator, you got into this to help people.
So that is what you're going to do, Erin. And you have to now speak to all those people that you have learned from, and you found their sessions very useful in your institute or otherwise. Get in touch with them, saying that this skill development project is being put together. Will you be willing to come to it? There will be no payment made to you. There is it in the sense I'm saying, yes, we can create that, but to start with, that there is no payment made to you. Okay, otherwise we can tell, we will put it out there that people can send you a gift, because this is what we was with Ken also, that gifting culture that we discussed. We are going to put it out that before, during, after, whenever they want to send you a gift, we'll put it out there. So please come into it, because you exactly all those words that you use, take the clip out of this video only, because it's lying online, that basically you came into this to help people. So put it out there.
Well, and I said this to a client recently, you know, who called and said, you know, what are you going to charge for this service? And this person was in my community, my direct community. And it's someone I talk to all the time. And I told her, you know, if we're not helping people, what are we here for? What are we doing? I'm not going to charge you for this service because you need help. And I feel like it is against everything inside of me to charge them for helping them through something that they desperately needed help with, you know, and it just, I can't wrap my mind around charging. And like we talked about with GMs, where it was like $50,000 for 3 days session, that I cannot wrap my mind around that. What are they getting that is so much higher quality for $50,000 than they are for the free person who literally probably has the same exact gifts and talents and is able to help that person for free versus going and paying $50,000. You know, I just mind blown. I don't understand.
The person who's willing to pay them. Why are they willing to pay them is what we have to ask, because obviously they're willing to pay them, and okay, they are delivering something. That's why it keeps going on. So the reason for payment is because that person charges. If the person was giving it for free, they would not pay for it. So to create that thing, what I was saying, that okay, on one end you were saying do it for free because someone needs help, and because the financial capability should not decide whether they should be helped or not, which is the same thing which happens to that person in your town who is who's homeless, who's on the street.
Sure.
It's same thing applies there. So that's the way the world has been created, that we don't get a damn about people who are out there and all those things. So that balancing we need to do, because we don't want the other person who's giving it for free to become homeless also. We want everyone to at least have their basics. So this is where, that's the entire thing that we are discussing, which I've been trying to say, how do we get that happening? Because the mediator also has basic needs. Definitely.
Yeah, which is why I'm focusing on fundraising and donations.
Exactly.
That's where my mind is.
Okay. So my one thought was, let's see, I mean, I'm putting it out, that let these circles be sponsored by an organization. Each of these circles. So of course, circles are going to be of different sizes. One will be a certain circle in a school, can be funded by maybe some organization which we think still feel ethically might be all right. Don't let alcohol companies do it for schools or anywhere. Don't let them do it. They're the first ones to come out and pay you whatever money. Don't let that happen. Maybe. Okay, that's one thing that you have to also be, I mean, we have to discuss whether ethically is that something that you have to put out, or are we saying as long as funding is coming, it's all right. Whoever funds it doesn't matter. So, okay, that's a one decision. But it doesn't matter. We take that up separately when it comes. But that's one option, that organizations, as part of their social responsibility, they take up a circle. Depending on, they can do it on a whole national level. They're large organizations. A large organization can say, okay, we want to create circles, because in a way it is branding for them. It is finally, it's a commercial aspect that you're entering a space, not as, okay, I'm putting an ad here, but I'm sponsoring. It's a sponsorship like any other sponsorship. So obviously, but connecting the right organization also, so that there is some kind of at least credibility of the circle doesn't kind of go down only because you connected with some organization which doesn't fit into that. So that's a very debatable thing as to which organizations will fit in or not fit in. So right now, let's keep it open. When something comes up and someone does say, yes, I want to do it, we'll come to that. We don't have to do it at this stage. So that's one option I'm looking at. So be it at a local level, be it at a global level, you can get organizations to come and say that, yes, we want to be part of the project. So that's what we can work on. So we can start talking to organizations of that. What else do you think? Anything else that comes to your mind?
I think sponsorships from people who are wealthy and want to help. You know, there are wealthy people who want to help out there. So even if it's like, you know, adopt a mediation, you know, or adopt a conflict, help people get through them.
No, adopt a circle. So let's say in a community, there is someone who is well off and can in some way contribute something. So again, becomes a local thing. So Jeff Bezos on the global level, and a local, maybe an entrepreneur is doing well in a community at the local level. Why not? Okay. So individuals, organizations, whether the individual also in a way is doing it for their name, doesn't matter. How does it matter to us? As long as, I mean, of course, who the individual is, that person in your community who sells drugs, we won't let that person be the person. So, okay, so that becomes one thing. So individuals who want to do it, organizations want to do it. So basically, it's that kind of thing, which normally happens for any kind of community activity funding. No different. You have this little magazine that is taken out and everyone is asked to give an advertisement in that or whatever. Okay, so we'll do that. On the skill development part of it, whatever topics that come to your mind, which you thought right at the school level to today, after going through all those various programs that you've gone through and all the qualifications that you picked up, make a list of all the topics. Against them, the names that you feel are the right people for the topic. Right? Let's put that out together. Then we'll write to them. Whoever I'm in touch with, we'll talk to them. Otherwise, we'll reach out to those people. So we get the best in the world for each topic. Right?
That'd be great.
Perfect. That sounds good. Though this happens, Erin, with me, the problem is that these conversations go on a little too long. So yeah, it is.
You know, I was looking at the time, and we've been doing this for 2.5 hours.
Yes, so you know, this is what happens with me. There was one particular episode of a particular show which went on 4 hours and 30 minutes of, I don't know, without a break. Okay, so
wow.
Okay, so I have the capacity to do it, and I told you I had my dinner earlier, so I'm okay with it. But anyway, thank you very much, both of you. But if you want to wrap up kind of thing, Anoushka, anything that you want to say? A wrapping up thing?
Other than thank you.
That's what the wrapping up is for. But okay.
No, but so you've been doing absolutely wonderful, and we need more sessions like these, more people to come talk about mediations and the importance, not just on a professional level, but as I said earlier, also the grassroots level, the schools, the colleges, even reach out to people who haven't had any formal education, especially in the rural areas. So I hope we can do justice to that and do our part so that we can advance this machinery as much as we can and help out as many people as we can, especially those who need it the most.
Okay, so I did your part. Did your part, and this I've said. Now you don't watch anything that I put out, so I'm telling you this. But your part is that the
Yes.
school next to your house, whatever school
Mhm.
that you, or any school that you're connected with, any college that you're connected with, any organization that you in some way can get connected with, any community that you're connected with, which could be your residential community. All these 4 places, you're going to go out and say that I'm creating a mediation circle here. My thought of the mediation circle I've put out there. I would
Yes.
want it to be part of the World Mediation Circle. You don't want it to be part of it, totally obvious. Idea is to do things. I mean, for me, I
Right.
felt that I wanted to create that brand only if it can help people, saying that you are part of a larger whole. Because I want
Correct.
those people then that you identify to be part of the events that I do and take them forward as a large community, as a global community. So you can be part of that. I put out information in relation to the mediation circle is available. So my thoughts there. If your thoughts don't agree with it, then thank you very much, Anushka. It was really nice knowing you. So, but
That's not the case, sir.
if
Of
they do
course not.
match, so if they do match, what I will do is there's a PDF also which I put out there. I'll send you the link to that. So
Yes.
just go out and tell them that we are creating this circle and the thought behind it. And I'm here not to teach. I'm here to just identify those people that the school children will tell us. We are not saying anything. The school children are going to be asked that one basic question, which is the same question for the communities, organizations, everyone. Question is, who are those people who help other people resolve their disputes?
Right.
As simple as that. Let's get the names. Then I will tell you later when we have a interaction with them, or you will have the interaction with them, to differentiate between the mediator and the peacemaker. The mediator
Right.
has the skill of actually assisting you. The peacemaker puts you together. So
Right.
both the skills required. Then we'll differentiate between the two. Then when we talk about the skill development or skills development, we'll have different programs for the mediators and the peacemakers. Then the people who want to, once you've got these people together, then we're putting it out to the same school and the community and the organization that this circle is there. These people are there who would want to resolve their disputes in an amicable manner. All the benefits of it, whatever it is, whatever you want to tell them. So this is a circle that we put together where you can join it. So they come in. It might be a small group to start with. And as they see, the idea is not just to resolve disputes. Idea is to create a safe space where people can come and have conversations about anything, generally any issue that is coming up in their community or in their school or anything. But because these are people with a certain mindset, it will be objective discussions.
Right.
It will. So again, those 3 words: politics, advocacy, activism. They are doing what they are doing, good, bad, ugly. We don't want to get into it. This is an alternative. Let's call it an alternative, because we don't want this alternative to go the same way as ADR. But they say this is the appropriate way to do it, which we are. I keep saying for ADR also, it's not alternative, is appropriate. So, or I also say amicable dispute resolution. So this is that aspect. We're putting this together. So what you are going to do is what I do, the YouTube channel, getting people together. So all those people will come together, have those conversations. So that way we take it forward. So that's your part that you need to do actively on the ground.
Yes,
That's when
sir.
the grassroots movement takes off. So you will tell us about your experience at this level. So we learn from it and fine tune it, because we only want a few experimental things that to happen first. Because I've done my experiment, I know, but let's get your view on this also. Then we'll take it forward. Sounds good?
Right.
Erin,
Sounds good.
sounds good. Erin, that's okay. Sounds good. Okay, so now you're wrapping up. How do you want to wrap it up?
Just wanted to say thank you for including me in this conversation. It was a very interesting topic today. And it was very nice to meet you, Anoushka.
Likewise.
And I really enjoyed listening to what you had to say. And I really like the idea that we are out here talking together and coming together as, as mediators and starting this movement forward of how are we going to help our future generations? Because I don't really like seeing where we're at right now. And I would really like to see a better future for everyone.
So what's going to happen? Yeah. So what's going to happen now is the matchmaking service is going to be closed and the movement is going to be taken forward. Okay. So now it's the movement time. The matchmaking connection part of it will still happen, but will happen for people who actually actively get involved to do things. In general, what's happening in terms of putting people out and all those events, that will continue. All those sheets will be available. People can get to know each other. But let's now get on the ground and let's start doing our work, creating circles, right? So thank you very much. And tomorrow is another day. A few more sessions. Please drop in. It's always a pleasure, Eden. It's been you can also drop in, Anoushka. Anyone can. All panelists can come into any session. But Erin has come in. We had good conversation, each of them. It's always nice to have that. All right.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.